I always do that. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go up past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I give what I got, I supply that fire. I supply that fire. What is going on, bookworms, and welcome back to another episode of Bookmarks with Bump. Here we are. We are wrapping up January, heading into February, and hopefully keeping on track with all of our goals. That is the main message of Bookmarks with Bump, even though we go through threads of nonsense from time to time. The main message of the show is just the message that I've been trying to get across for the last 6 to 7 years now, is you always have a chance to keep pushing. And that's what we're going to do today. We're just going to keep on pushing. I know that the last couple weeks we've gone over a lot of trending topics and current events. We're going to shy away from Justin Tucker acting like Deshaun Watson and just stay on track with some threads here to keep us focused on our goals and keep us just trying to improve day by day and continue to get better. We'll go over the Pro Bowl a little bit because we're heading into Pro Bowl week, the first kind of feeling of a week without football. This bye week here before the Super Bowl. And then we'll highlight the Super Bowl next week. I'm not going to talk much about it. I want to really give you guys a big, insightful, informative block of Ballin' with Bump on Super Bowl Sunday on the next episode when that comes out on February 9th. But here we are today, February 2nd. The first month of the year is over, and we're going to dive into Always Keep Learning's pictograph that they put out about decluttering 5 life areas. This is important in life, to declutter, because sometimes when you have a task ahead of you, it's hard to manage what you need to do to get started. All you see is the big picture, the A to B, like we talked about last week, where you need to go. One thing you need to do in order to see the grand scheme of everything is to kind of declutter the things that are in your way in life. So we'll see what Always Keep Learning has to say about that. And as always, please go through the description on whatever platform you're listening on. All of the links to all of these threads will be made readily available for you to follow along as we're going through with the podcast. But nonetheless, let's dive in here. The number 1 decluttering is relationship clutter. Evaluate your relationships, your friendships, your romantic relationships, your familial relationships. We have spend more time with people who give you energy. Spend less time with people who steal your energy. And if you're introverted, block out time to be alone. If you're naturally an introvert, you kind of put a lot of pressure on yourself in social situations. I know it's funny because I do a lot of content in media, so I'm kind of always out there. But this is more of my comfort zone when it comes to speaking, to be honest with you. When I'm in a large group or large crowd, sometimes there are moments where I've shied away from interacting. I've been feeling myself over the last couple months now breaking out of that and just unapologetically being myself and not really fearing any repercussions. Because if repercussions are going to come from you being who you are, that's just kind of the wheat separating itself from the tare. But if you are introverted, you do recharge your battery a lot by just taking time on your own. And it's important to have that time. So block out that time. But when it comes to spending time with people who give you energy and spending less time with people who take it away, this is something that I've talked about forever, ever since I heard Nick Saban say it, how there are fountains and vampires in the world. And that's exactly what it is. You walk into a room, you can see an energy fountain, somebody who's just gleaming and giving to the world. There's an extremely grateful feeling that surrounds them. And the more time you spend around somebody like that, the more you will feel that. So if you feel like there's a lack of that around you, be that fountain. Number 2 is physical clutter. You have to pare down to essential items. Then manage both inbound and outbound possessions. Inbound, you got to choose quality over quantity. Purchase less and love every single item more. Spread that gratitude. Outbound, follow the 1 in, 1 out rule. If you buy one item, donate, sell, or toss another. And this can relate a lot to clothing. I find myself season by season looking at the clothes that I have and realizing I don't wear half of any of this. And I drop my bag in the Salvation Army or drop my bag off at Goodwill, wherever it may be. And I kind of just keep what I have. I really haven't bought many clothes besides some essential things as of late, some pants and jogging pants, because I like these windbreaking pants when you're running out in the cold. I'm not a treadmill runner at all, so I have to find a way to get out there. The best sweatpants in the cold weather, especially here in New England where the wind is always whipping, are not beneficial to running outside in the gripping cold. So the solution to that is windbreaking pants. Yes, I'm giving you a cheat code here. If you're a runner and you want to continue to run outside because you enjoy it more, get some windbreaking pants. Some of those pants that, like, your old gym teacher or health teacher used to wear, and he'd say that he was able to sneak up on you and catch you fooling around in class when you weren't supposed to, when in reality you could just look at him and say, listen, buddy, I heard you coming from a mile away. Those pants, as annoying as they may be in a regular setting, are perfect for outdoor weather, especially this time of year. Nonetheless, all of that for the outbound. Follow the 1 in, 1 out rule, okay? If you see a shirt that you're like, oh, I need to have that, go ahead and get it, and then get rid of that tattered one you've been holding on to for way too long. Number 3 would be digital clutter. Your digital environment is either producing clarity or complexity. Choose clarity. Turn off your notifications and organize projects in Notion. Turn off the notifications is huge. I found myself so overwhelmed a couple of years ago with just constant dinging and buzzing and vibrating. I can't wait to get the video element of this show going, because the facial expression during the vibrating really made it, and you all missed out. So look forward to that. Anyway, man, I found myself overwhelmed with all of this stuff that doesn't really matter. And Facebook is one of those ones who sends you funny things like, hey, this person you haven't talked to in 4 years posted something. You want to check it out? Like, no, I really don't. So I turned off notifications for everything. The only notifications I get are phone calls or messages or alerts from ESPN that I ask for the notifications for. My Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, that's really solely just a tool for getting out what you need to get out. And for me, all I really feel like I need to get out right now is this podcast. So I continue to pump that out. But turning off your notifications is huge, man, because if you're not paying attention to what you have in front of you and you're always looking for something else or something else that is irrelevant to your path is popping out at you, you're not going to really be that productive. So you have to just kind of focus on the task at hand. This is the big thing for me because I was just starting out my apprenticeship and I was going to my phone. I don't need to be on my phone. I need to be paying attention to the task on hand and listen. Not only did turning the notifications do a lot for my mental clarity, I also became the best tool setter in Connecticut. So, anywho, manage email with the 3-21-0 method. 3 email sessions a day, 21 minutes a session, 0 emails left in the inbox. If you're not working in an office, or if this is something that's not really, if you're not running your own business, rather, this is something that can be kind of irrelevant. If you're checking your email, if you're somebody like me who's checking my email, I'm checking it because I know I should be. I know I'm expecting something coming in. Anyway, we'll move on. Use a password manager. Basically, write down your password. That should be the biggest password manager. Have a physical copy. Have a physical element. I don't really necessarily subscribe to the idea that all of our passwords should be stored into a cloud, because who's to say people can't get into that cloud? Oh, wait. People have been getting into clouds. So just write them down, and that's your password manager. Tidy your mobile images. Offload saves to the cloud. Yeah, you can go through your photos. I don't know how people are different on this. I'll leave that up to your discretion. But having way too much is having way too much. You got to understand what memories are important to keep. And you see so often that people just have their phones out all the time. They're recording everything. Well, everything isn't that memorable. everything isn't that memorable. So you can kind of clear up some space and clear some of those notifications that you get from the settings and get rid of some images. Number 4 is financial clutter. Simplify your finances by using your money to buy time. Cancel unused subscriptions. Automate your bills, savings, and investments. Pay off debt with the avalanche method. Make your minimum payments. Then pay all you can toward debt with the highest interest rate. When paid off, shift all you can to the next highest rate debt. So this is basically saying, and this is a good thing, this is something you can translate to a lot of places in life. Start at the biggest hack first. You hack away at the biggest thing first. The rest of the big picture job that you need to do is going to be eons of times easier. Okay, then you have to go and budget with the 50, 30, 20 rule. 50% to your needs, 30% to your wants, and 20% to your savings. I like that. 30% to your wants is a lot. To your wants is a lot. That's a lot. That's 1/3 basically of your earnings should be towards things that you want. But you have to prioritize what you need in life. What you need is groceries, rent, bills. That is your needs. 50%. Never dip your toe in too much. Okay, this is kind of what this is saying here. Don't dive in head first. You can bet on yourself. It's important to bet on yourself in moments, but listen, if you're expecting these expenses every month, you need to make sure that you're making double what you need. That's basically all this is saying. Time clutter. Create unstructured open space in your life. Block out time for non-doing on your calendar. Take a break from social media and the news and accept fewer meetings. Normalize making no your default. Whether it's for new work projects or social gatherings, saying yes to non-priorities ruins your priorities. In the words of Derek Sivers, if it's not a hell yeah, it's a no. If it's not something that extremely excites you, don't make time for it. Because there's time, because you can use that time towards things that you're going to want to say hell yeah to. And you're going to have to focus while you're doing all of that. And Andrew Huberman is a big mindset type of guy. This professor, surgeon, I'm not quite too clued in on what Huberman is, but I know he has Huberman Labs. So he's got to be pretty smart, right? It's just idiotic. All right. Brenner Kyle put out a thread that says, Andrew Huberman, this is about focus. All right, so let's stay focused here. Andrew Huberman once said, the brain is like a muscle. If you don't use it, you will lose it. A few years ago, I could barely focus for 2 minutes. Today, 12-hour workdays feel effortless. Oh, good for you for slaving away. Unless you're doing something that's crazy, like, unless you're doing something that's, who cares? This guy wants to do it, let him do it. If a guy wants to do it, if somebody wants to do something, let them do it. And be enthusiastic about what it is that they're doing. As enthusiastic as they are. They wanted to do it. So they're doing it. This guy's working 12-hour days because he wants to. Here are Hubans. I can't say this Andrew Huberman guy's name, even though it's so simple. Huberman is a very easy name to get out. I don't know why I can't. Here are Huberman's 7 principles for superhuman focus that changed my life. Number 1 is preparation. It's difficult to just switch into full focus mode. You need to prime your brain before it. According to Huberman, the best way to do so is by staring at one point intensively. Do this for 30 seconds before you start your work sessions. Instant focus boost. Meditation. Now, don't get mad. I know everyone talks about this already, but meditation is such an effective way to not just improve your focus for the long term, but also your mental health in general. The crazy part, 3 to 5 minutes a day is more than enough. Work on something you like. I always struggled to focus in school. Why? I simply didn't care about the shit they teach you there. Bored to who? But working on my businesses. It's a lot easier to stay focused because I see the actual value in doing so. Find the why. I talked about this last week. Your why is going to be what drives you the most. Find your why, find a way to work and fit in that lane, and keep at it. Number 4 is sleep. You sleep 1/3 of your life, so you better optimize it. This is a threat. Good rest at night, peak focus at day. It's not cool to sleep 4 hours a night to grind. I sleep 8 hours and produce results like crazy, and most important, I'm healthier. 2 underrated ways to improve your sleep are listed here in this thread through videos, and that's why I always say you need to follow along with the links in the description after you subscribe, like, and leave a review or a comment. One way is mouth tape. It's crazy underrated, and you're supposed to breathe through your nose. And even if you do so during the day, most likely you aren't doing it when you're asleep. But with the mouth tape, you do, and your sleep will improve significantly. You will also fix your facial bone structure. Number 2 is magnesium. A magnesium supplement is powerful. Take it an hour before you go to bed, and trust me, you'll sleep like a stone. Simple, but effective. 5 is frequencies. Go to Spotify or whatever you use and type in 40 hertz beats. Grab some earphones and kick off your work session. It might not be something for everyone, but for me, it was an absolute game changer, and you should give it a try. Shout out, Brenner. 6, intermittent fasting. Delay your breakfast for a couple of hours, and you'll literally have 10 times focus in that time. Only drink water and coffee. Perfect to work. But if you absolutely have to eat, make sure it's low on carbs and you don't overeat yourself. This is huge, and this is something that has to do with insulin resistance. And insulin releases when you eat. Your body releases insulin to fight the blood sugar. And what this does is speed up and boost up your metabolism, but also draw energy from your body. So it's important that we're running on the fats that are stored in our body. That's what it's there for, especially when you're at work, especially if you're not working a job that's extremely physically active. You can do this intermittent fasting and be quite successful. Number 7 is the ultimate supplement. If you want to bring your focus to a whole new level, then go get lion's mane. And no, it's not some psychedelic mushroom, but it works so well that you might end up forgetting everything around you. Use it carefully. It is a cordyceps mushroom that is very beneficial to brain function. It's like a CoQ10, if you will. Now, last but not least, I found a conspiracy because I love a good conspiracy. And I've been putting my tinfoil hat on for the last couple weeks here, and we're going to keep it on. And we're going to have some fun with Mark Zuckerberg. Now, this is a Twitter-based podcast, so of course, we're going to attack the competitors, right? We're coming at Meta/Facebook pretty hard right here. There is a Zuckerberg transformation theory, and it's breaking the internet. Because in 2023, Mark suffered a serious knee injury in MMA training. What happened next has conspiracy theorists losing their minds. It's funny. Let's get into this. Most billionaires play golf, but Zuck, he chose violence. He started training MMA, competing in tournaments, and building a fight gym in his backyard. Then came the injury that supposedly changed everything. The theory: his doctors put him on TRT during recovery. But here's where it gets wild. People say it didn't just heal his knee, but it completely rewired his personality. And this is what he was recently on Joe Rogan, again for the second time. And Joe Rogan has gone on to say this as well about the young Zucky here. But he says that, like, for whatever reason, jiu-jitsu turned him more conservative and more into a libertarian. It made him think more logically. It made him think about survival. Because what happens when you release that testosterone is you think for survival and you think more logically because you're trying to piece together the puzzle of life. Look at the evidence they point to. Suddenly, he's got this jacked physique. He's more assertive in speaking style. He has interest in masculine hobbies like weapons training. Even his voice has dropped deeper. And he has a new iced out chain. I don't know what an iced out chain says about big balls, but apparently there's a correlation there. The conspiracy crowd says pre-2023 Zuck was the classic Silicon Valley lib. Post-recovery, they're calling him based Zuck. From hoodies to rash guards, from metaverse to martial arts. They claim the testosterone red-pilled them. Started posting workout videos, hanging with fighters like Alexander Volkanovsky, building an underground bunker. This isn't the same guy who was awkwardly explaining smoked meats on Facebook Live. The wildest part is that his public image has actually improved. The same people who called him Lizard Man Zuck are now calling him Jack Zuck. The memes went from mockery to admiration. Is TRT the secret sauce that turned Facebook's robot CEO into an alpha tech bro? Or is this just another internet conspiracy theory? One thing is certain, is that 2025 Zuck is built different. And this is also what Joe Rogan had said. Joe Rogan had Zuck on, and after he had him on, he kind of talked in Protect Our Parks about the way that he's changed since doing... He didn't bring up the TRT, which is interesting, because if he is on TRT, I probably think testosterone has more to do with his appearance and all of that. Me personally, and also Dave Smith, the creator of Part of the Problem podcast and a notable libertarian, has kind of come out and said that, like, and this is your feeling, my feeling when I see this is kind of my radar goes off, my chameleon radar goes off a little bit. Like, yeah, who's to say this guy isn't just trying to fit in and not get banished into the shadow realm by the new administration coming in? I mean, he's openly said now that the FBI had asked him to not run with the Hunter Biden laptop story. And here we are getting political, but that's the end of it. He's gone out and he's said that the FBI told him this. And is he just kind of Benedict Arnolding his way through life here and trying to fit in with the crowd that's popular at the time to keep himself relevant? Even though he doesn't have to do anything like that, he could just disappear like Tom, and Facebook would continue to be Facebook. But he is a force. He is one of these Bezos, Elon Musk figures, and he's just trying to be the coolest one, is what it sounds like to me. Do I think he's completely changed? I don't know. But I have to give the benefit of the doubt to people because I know that people can change, because I am an example of that. It's just funny. It's funny timing for him to come out and have this resurgence and revival the way he has. He got dragged through the mud for the last 8 years pretty much, and now he kind of seems like a cool guy again. I don't want anybody to be hated or scrutinized at all. So good for him if this is truly him. And also good for him if he's able to skate through and find his pocket to sit in and not get lambasted all the time. Zuck definitely has got it going on these days. And these days are very important, and I'll tell you why.
Here we go! Buck, here we go! Here we go! Here we go! Here we go! Yeah, here we go!
That might have been the worst ever segue into Ballin' with Bump since it's been a segment on the show. But nonetheless, we made it here. And that's exactly what the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs are saying to each other in their respective team facilities this week as they get ready and prepare to head down to New Orleans for next week's Super Bowl. We have Super Bowl 59 coming right... no, I'm sorry. Is this 54? I can't read Roman numerals, all right? But it's LIX, whatever the hell that means. No, yeah, LIX. So it must be 59. Who cares? It's the 2025 Super Bowl. It's the Eagles. It's the Chiefs. The Eagles won in dominating fashion over the Washington Commanders. Only put up 8 points in the second half. Jaden Daniels was forced to use his arm throughout the game as much as he could. I think the biggest takeaway from Jaden Daniels is that he only threw one interception in this game. I mean, this is a very, very tough passing defense. Jaden Daniels led the team with rushing with 48 yards and a touchdown. Zach Ertz had 11 receptions for 104 yards, and he was forced to have a big game because they locked down Terry McLaurin, De'Ami Brown. The Washington passing game couldn't succeed against this very, very tough Philadelphia Eagles passing defense. I mean, they picked up they had great acquisitions in the offseason, which put them exactly where they are today. They rebuilt the secondary back up. They had a down year last year. They knew what they had to correct, and they worked on it. And look at what it's got them, a 55-23 win over the Washington Commanders, a division rival in the NFC Championship. So in the last 4 years now, Nick Sirianni's taken his team to 2 Super Bowls and has won 2 NFC championships, and people still want him out of town every time he loses a game or almost loses a game. This had the Philadelphia Eagles written all over it. Their offensive line played in a dominating fashion. Saquon Barkley would have 3 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts rushed for 3 touchdowns. Will Shipley even had a touchdown, 7 touchdowns on the ground. But not only that, Jalen Hurts had a silence the critics type of game here where he only took 2 sacks, and he ended up completing 20 of his 28 passes for 246 yards and a touchdown to A.J. Brown, which was a brilliant play. I mean, this was a great game. You'd love to see it. The Eagles, they got into a situation in one point in the game where they were going for their brotherly shove, tush push, quarterback sneak, whatever you want to call it. And the Commanders kept going offsides or encroaching against the offensive line. And it got to a point where the officials said that they warned the Commanders that if this continues to happen, they will just award the Eagles a score. And I didn't know they gave out free touchdowns, especially in a game that determines who's going to the Super Bowl. But their foe in the game will be the Kansas City Chiefs again. I'm having deja vu. I've seen this before. 2 years ago, the Chiefs beat the Eagles in a nail-biter with the common questions that we always have when it comes to Chiefs games, but I'm not going to buy into that. I'm not going to listen to that. There was a lot of controversy around this game, and I got to tell you, Josh Allen has one in him. He is going to get past the Kansas City Chiefs one of these times. It's been 5 years where they have been consistent playoff championship contenders. Josh Allen is a generational quarterback, and he will bring Buffalo to the Super Bowl. I know it. Every year it seems like they get closer and closer and closer, and they lost by 3 in this game. Kansas City ended up doing what they do best, and that's finding a way to win. Did they outgain the Bills? No, they did not. Did they win the turnover battle? No, they did not. Did they win the time of possession? No, they did not. But still, somehow, they win the game. And they did that 15 times this season. They did not look like the Chiefs of the past, this fast, flashy team. They just looked like a team that's willing to grind it out, and they are. They truly are. And we have a matchup of the ages to watch this Spagnuolo defense take on Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. They beat the Eagles before, but have they beat the Eagles with Saquon Barkley? I mean, this guy behind this offensive line, the Eagles have the best offensive line in the league. And with the running back with this amount of talent, if they find a way to stop this onslaught, I think you just have to crown them. They're going for history next week. They're going for the first back-to-back-to-back Super Bowl win. I will not say the Pat Riley trademarked word. I do not want to cease and desist against this podcast, but they're going to attempt to be the first team in NFL history to win the Super Bowl 3 years in a row, which just proves how hard of a sport football is. Usually there's a different contender in, but for the last 10 years, it really hasn't been that. Patrick Mahomes has been in or won 7 of the last 10 Super Bowls. That is crazy. Wait, is that the stat? No, I'm sorry. Brady or Mahomes have won or been in 7 of the last 10 Super Bowls, whatever it is. 1 year, they were in it together. So I'm excited to see. I'm going to dive into the stats and look at everything. There's stats floating around all week. There's going to continue to be stats floating around about these 2 specific teams facing each other. For instance, Andy Reid is Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes are undefeated against Vic Fangio. Now, this is Vic Fangio as a head coach. So there is still some yet to be seen. It's just his defense. And honestly, when you look at the players on the field, that really makes up the defense. The defense is truly it's driven. This is a player-driven league. As much as schemes do matter, what really drives a scheme to be successful is the talent that's on the field doing the work. And they have amazing players between Cooper DeJean, Reed Blankenship, Quinion Mitchell, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay. There are names all over. And then up front for the Philadelphia Eagles, you have a man named Jalen Carter, who is just absolutely paving a way for the Philadelphia Eagles defense to just do whatever they want. I mean, this guy, it seems like there are plays where he just decides that he's going to wreck it. And that's what he is. He's a game wrecker. And Brandon Graham is allegedly coming back from his torn tricep in week 12, just a will into the Super Bowl. And you hear these stories. Terrell Owens played in the Super Bowl with a broken leg. It's just, these types of stories are just, you want that gut, that grit, that heart. And that's what this game is. This is what these two teams have fought for 17 weeks, is to get a chance to play in this game. And here they are. We have a week to prepare for it, and so do they. So let's get into what they do in that off time. Because right now what we have is the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl is coming up. What I do know about the Pro Bowl here is that the AFC has won 3 of the last 5, losing the last 2 in a row ever since they integrated the captain system. But I'm looking into the roster here. What do we have for the roster? I want to find out, because I know, one thing that I do know is that Drake May had been elected to the Pro Bowl as a quarterback. So congratulations to the New England Patriots for getting a guy in there. And the Pro Bowl kicks off tonight. Tonight is Thursday. So the rosters are finalized here. And the AFC quarterbacks are Joe Burrow, Drake May, and Russell Wilson. The NFC quarterbacks are Sam Darnold, Jared Goff, and Baker Mayfield. 15 players who are named to the 5th Pro Bowl, to their 5th Pro Bowl. It's Bobby Wagner's 10th, Russell Wilson's 10th, Kyle Juszczyk's 9th, Budda Baker's 7th, Joe Bitonio's 7th, Cam Hayward's 7th, and Quentin Nelson's 7th. There are 30 players playing in their first, including Drake May. Brian Thomas Jr. of Jacksonville made it, who had a great season at wide receiver. Same with Malik Neighbors and Jared Verse, the game wrecker from the Los Angeles Rams, who, in my opinion, really helped them get to the playoffs. But Arizona has 2 players, Budda Baker and Trey McBride at tight end. Atlanta has Kaderil Hodge as a special teamer, Chris Lindstrom at guard, and Bijan Robinson made it. Of course he did. He's a tremendous talent. Baltimore has 8 players selected. Buffalo has 3 players selected. Carolina with 2. Chicago with just 1. Their cornerback, Jalen Johnson. Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Trey Hendrickson. Basically, 3 players that led their positions in the most meaningful stats. Trey Hendrickson leading in sacks. Joe Burrow leading in yards and touchdowns thrown. Jamar Chase in yards. Cleveland had 4 players. Dallas has 4 players. Denver has 4 players. Detroit had 6, which doesn't surprise me at all. Their punter, Jack Fox, was selected. Green Bay with 3. Houston with 4. Indianapolis with 3. Jonathan Taylor, Quentin Nelson, Zaire Franklin. Jacksonville had 3, one of which being Brian Thomas. Las Vegas only is sending Brock Bowers, their rookie tight end, who was a record breaker this year. Chargers have 3. Rams have 1. Miami with 1. Jonnu Smith selected, the tight end out of Miami. Tyreek Hill not selected to the Pro Bowl this year. Will he be there racing anybody? Only time will tell. Guy loves to run. New England's only selection was Drake May, so shout out to the Patriots for representing. The Giants had 2. The Jets are sending Quinnen Williams. New Orleans is sending their center. Pittsburgh has 6 players. Baltimore so far leads the pack with 8 selections from their team to the Pro Bowl, which is a pretty hefty statement. The games are different this year. What they're doing this year, and they're trying to gauge interest. And what I think is so cool about the Pro Bowl is really what they do with it. I think this is a great chance for kids to get involved with the league. I think this is a great chance to just keep the youth interested, because what they do are things like egg tosses and whatnot. Now, Pro Bowl had always been a less physical game where they play an actual game in pads, and they've recently turned it into more of these contests and races and skill kind of shows of skill, but it all culminates in a flag football game, which is nice family fun for everybody. So shout out to all the players who got selected and hit their incentives on their contracts for making it to a Pro Bowl. And shout out to you to making it through this 34th edition of Bookmarks with Bump. As always, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, click the links in the description to follow along with what I'm talking about, thread to thread. And please do check in time to time on social media from TCGX Bump on Instagram or Bump of TTS on Twitter. You can email me any suggestions on threads that you might have found. Send me the link at bookmarkswbump@gmail.com. And as always, it's all love. God bless.
I started at the dirt. I've been riding, wave like I surf. I've been leaning in and out of work. I could show you what it's worth. Money to the ceiling. I started at the dirt. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go out past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I give what I got, I supply that fire. I supply that fire, man. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go out past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go out past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher, man.